dumb idiot. Looks like you got yourself a saucy hand.
Yeah, I do.
Try yourself a Picasso boneless wing. Maybe next.
Well,
Outlet Liquor is your place to buy a case. Stock up and save when you shop the lowest prices available every day at Outlet Liquor. You never have to wait for a sale. The more you buy, the more you save. Only at Outlet Liquor.
What's your outlet?
Folks, welcome in to a game day Monday night edition of the Crowd Assist podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kevin Massare, here with Meerkat to go over. We're going to do a quick, as he's got the blue light there, live and ready for us. Brought to you by Outlet Liquor and Picasso's Pizza. Go out there and get your best Picasso's pizzas before the game. Get out there, stay hungry, and fulfill your needs with some Picasso's Pizza, some great char and cut pizza, everything you could ask for from Picasso's. But Meerkat, we have a good 20-25-minute show here today. We need to break down what we can. We have Mark Schoenfield on from USA Today, one of the best Patriots experts. And man, I'll tell you what, Meerkat, and you can comment on this. I've had some Patriots fans in my mentions for like a week. Here's what I said, and I want you to break this down. I said, get pressure on Mac Jones, which isn't a controversial. Get pressure on Josh Allen, which isn't a controversial statement, but holy Christ, Meerkat.
Yeah, we're talking about getting pressure on Mac Jones. I mean, I with Star Lotulelei back, I expect us to. At Oliver the past few weeks, how great he has looked without that big body next to him, eating up those double teams. It's just going to get better from here. We saw it earlier this season with them together. I think Star being back is massive tonight. But yeah, fending off Patriots fans all week. Today, they've been ruthless. And, I'm going to let the game speak for itself tonight. If we lose, let them go at it, because I'm going to already be so sad and so depressed down in that Bills post loss to the Patriots hole that I won't even care what they're saying. But if we win, a lot of graves getting stepped on. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, there's a lot of receipts there, is I think what Meerkat's getting at. A lot of Patriots fans receipts. I'm putting them up there, guys. Patriots, Titans, brutal fan bases. There's absolutely insufferable. Chiefs can be bad, but they've won, and I don't know, like there's something about them that's just always seems a little bit okay. And the Ravens too, they can get up there. But man, I'm telling you, the Titans and the Patriots fan bases, I mean, the Patriots would think that you have Tom Brady in a 16-0 year here, Meerkat. So that's how they're treating this game. But we got to look at the weather report. Outside in my house here, it looks fine. But by all accounts and everything that we're seeing on ESPN, we're seeing weather in the 30s, 40-mile-an-hour winds, gusts up to 60. I mean, look, it should subside a little bit by by 7, by 8, by 9, by 10. But how does that factor into this game, Meerkat?
It's kind of scary because we've seen Josh Allen struggle this year in, some inclement weather. So yeah, I hope it dies down. It kind of just came out of nowhere, which makes you think, all right, it's going to brush over, but I'm no meteorologist. It makes you lean towards, hey, we're going to be running the ball. It's going to be interesting to see what the Bills do when it comes to that front. Talking of people being back, Spencer Brown being back is a massive addition for this team. Getting him at that right tackle spot, not only to, fend off Matt Judon and co, is massive for the offensive playbook and what Brian Dable can call in terms of some of his creativity and stuff with the run game. Spencer Brown is a rare, super, super athletic right tackle that can be pulled and moved very effectively and get to those second, third level blockers downfield faster than some fullbacks and stuff in the league. It's kind of crazy. So if we need to start out running the ball, well, we let this weather die. Spencer Brown being back is going to be a major proponent of that if we're successful. And I love to like the stigma with the Patriots being like this crazy elite rushing team, which they've been efficient. They have 2 good running backs, a good offensive line. But then the Bills just average more yards per game than the Patriots.
The Bills have been more efficient, Meerkat.
More efficient. It's just like, all right, we got to wipe that stigma away. But it might come to fruition tonight. It's going to be a battle on the ground, potentially.
Let's pump the brakes on the running thing because, yes, Derrick Henry had 1 long touchdown wrong in Nashville against the Bills that had 3 holdings on. We broke that down here ad nauseum here on the Crowd Assist podcast. How good was he that night? It's up to you to determine. I don't think he was particularly great, whereas Jonathan Taylor had a heck of a game. The weather elements were in his favor. The Bills are missing some of their best run stoppers, just a lot of things that went in their favor in that game, but he played a really great game and probably is, with Derrick Henry, the top 2 running backs in the NFL right now. Does New England have that? No, they don't. I'm sorry, Damian Harris. I'm sorry, Damian Harris season. I'm sorry, all the burners that I see of Damian Harris out there. I don't believe he is as good as those 2 running backs. Could he be efficient? Yeah, it's very possible. They will use Ramondre Stevenson a good amount here tonight as well, without JJ Taylor. So you'll see him, mixed in. But let's be honest, he is not either of those 2 running backs. And I'm sorry. And I'm sorry to say that. And they don't have the passing threat that the Titans did against the Bills that day. The only healthy game of the year was against the Bills. I mean, quite frankly, Meerkat, that's just unfortunate. That's unlucky. The Bills have had a good amount of luck playing teams with backup quarterbacks, so we can't talk too much there. But that was one that they didn't get the good end of the stick of playing the only healthy game of the Titans season, where their offense looked fairly efficient. That team's a shell of itself right now. That's a game you would absolutely have wanted Flip to be playing tonight. And then switch the 2 Monday night games. And New England wasn't playing great. You would have absolutely liked those 2 Monday nights flipped. But so that's what I'll say about that. However, news that AJ Klein is going on the COVID list could affect special teams here today. Not sure how that broke Monday afternoon. I'm not sure. I don't ever understand why they don't just put him on earlier, unless these guys are really getting COVID the day or 2 before the game. Very interesting that they're in the building practicing as of their last practice, which would have been Saturday. So I don't know. That's quite weird. But then they're going to call up Joe Giles Harris and Eli Anku over Brandon Bryant, which is an interesting move here tonight too. So a couple of moves there, Meerkat. So tell me, I guess right off the top, and then lastly, no John Feliciano. No activation from him. I heard midweek that he wasn't going to go actually. So I'm not sure if he's a week away, or they feel great about Ike Butker. Is there really a downgrade there? It's marginal. I think it's more on the right side where you've already mentioned Spencer Brown being back and playing right tackle with Darrell Williams kicking inside a right guard. That offensive line's been pretty good for the Bills, right, Meerkat?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And Butker being there, I'm okay with. You brought it up. Is it that much of a difference? Not really. I think I made the joke before of that's a picture of the shoe on sale. It says $79.99 crossed out, still $79.99. And it's this, starting, it's the same thing going on. Butker actually might give you a little more mobility, more flexibility with, pulling guards in the offensive line, like I brought up with Brown, than Feliciano. But it's gonna be a bit scary because we see Matt Judon right now. I believe is 11.5 sacks. This Patriots defense has been getting after it, and Josh Allen. Quarterback sacks are a quarterback stat. And Josh Allen's been great at avoiding sacks this year, but his pressure numbers are insane, how much he has to avoid the sacks. So you're going to want to kind of avoid that tonight, even though if this weather keeps up, is that the worst thing in the world? The Pats defense breaks down a little. Allen gets chased out of the pocket. Let him take it himself. Just be careful with it tonight. Ball's going to be slippery. Bills have had a fumble problem, a low-key fumble problem all year. And that's one thing I could really switch a game. We saw it last year. The first Patriots game. Cam Newton fumble away, Justin Zimmer getting that ball from us probably losing that game. And one fumble can be the difference in a game that's going to be, I think it's going to be tight as this.
As dare I say it, can the Bills be efficient throwing the ball today? I think that they could have a huge leg up if they are able to. You look at the numbers. You have Stephon Diggs as the 8th best receiver in the NFL right now per PFF. You have Gabe Davis as the 33rd. You have Cole Beasley in 57th and Emmanuel 7th, tied with Emmanuel Sanders actually at 57th. You have 4 receivers in the top 60. You should only have 2 at best. So the Bills are going to be able to spread out. And then that's not including Dawson Knox, obviously, who's materialized as one of the best receiving tight ends in the league. So there is a lot to like here in Meerkat with those 5 options. And then you have obviously the running backs out of the backfield and Matt Breida season too. There is a lot to like on the Bills offensive side. Sometimes we get stuck in the minutia here on the Crowd Assist podcast and even across all pods that I listen to of the Bills offense is really good. There's been some problems with it at times, whether it's weather, whether it's Josh playing hero ball, whether it's the O-line, and everyone takes their share at times. And I know a lot of people don't think that I mentioned Josh Allen. Josh Allen has definitely played hero ball to make up for some of those problems. Some of it is on Josh to be better. But however, there is a lot to like about this Buffalo Bills offense. And quite frankly, it's at full health. The Bills are as healthy as anyone in the NFL on the offensive side. Anyone. They have 2 guys on IR, Meerkat. 2. One just went on in Trey White and Justin Zimmer. And a rotational defensive tackle who maybe was your 50th guy in the roster. Sorry, Justin Zimmer, you do add something, but you are the 50th guy in the roster. They feel they can replace you with Eli Anku, and especially with Starback. And then you have Trey White, obviously one of the Bills' best defensive players, fine. They have no injury problems. They need to get it done today. The Patriots are without Kyle Duggar, a guy that is still on the COVID list, which is a huge matchup issue right now, Meerkat, for them. They're going to be activating Jamie Collins here today and to try to take some of that linebacker snaps, but that's fine with me. That means that you're going to take one of your other linebackers off the field. What are you going to do? You're going to be in base most of the day here in the weather? Throw the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Throw the ball. And Kyle Duggar being out, Mark brought it up. He's a guy who plays in the box a lot for that Patriots defense. And with a game plan that's probably going to involve a lot of short to intermediate passing, that's a huge loss for them. Jamie Collins being brought up, I did not see that coming. I didn't even know that was a thing that was in play for today. I'm not going to lie to you guys. And kind of scares me that they think he's fine bringing him up and activating him right off the rip. But
good for you.
It's like, good for you. Is he actually ready? Are you forcing him back for the big game? And
By the way, 3 hours before game time, that's a thing because it's Monday Night Football. You can't do that on a Sunday night game.
If you should have to announce it Sunday, but I don't care. I don't see him being that much of an impact.
No.
It's still like what's going on there.
I don't specifically care about Collins, who's been overpriced at times and who's been paid too much in the free agent market. But look, the rules need to be the same. Like Saturday at afternoon at 4, that's the day to make your roster moves. Outside of, I guess, COVID, so outside of an AJ Klein incident where he's sitting out, not playing, those should be the only exceptions to being like game planning. Like, I mean, it's not just Jamie Collins. It's like, look, how can you game plan with 4 hours notice over they're taking Duggar out and playing Collins? I don't know. I think there's a little strategic advantage there by Bill Belichick to be able to manipulate those rules. I think Saturday at 4 is the time you need to designate it. Whether you play Sunday at 1 or Monday at 8, I think that's the time. But that's a discussion for a different day. Jamie Collins is active today, and he will be playing for the Patriots, hopefully replacing that Duggar role. But you look at that defense on paper, and they've played some good football, number 1 and number 2 in most accounts with the Bills. However, besides Judon and some of that pass rush, nothing sticks out to you. The defensive backs, I mean, they have some really good play. And I mean, JC Jackson seems to be around the ball every time I look up. Kyle Duggar's been good in stretches, but Jalen Mills, a failed Eagles cornerback, McCourty, converted safety, Adrian Phillips. I mean, Juwan Williams and Sean Wade, there's not a lot there, Meerkat, without Duggar. It is time to spread them out because, quite frankly, they're going to run a lot of Matt Judon, Dante Hightower, and probably, they're going to have to be able to play on Jamie Collins. So where's the Bills' matchup advantage today, Meerkat? Do you agree that it's somewhat finding holes and being able to throw and picking your spots and not just relying on what Matt Breida and Devin Singletary can do?
100%. You have to be aggressive even in this type of weather, and you can't be afraid to take chances, which we've seen Josh Allen do that. Now, sometimes it can be a bit of a detriment playing a little too much hero ball, but he's calmed down a little bit recently, so that's good to see. And, he's got to take those spots. We know he's not afraid to take the shot, and we know he wants to win this game tonight in front of Bills Mafia, national TV, against the Patriots, all this talk about Mac Jones and stuff. This is Josh Allen's game tonight, and he should be able to show it. Like you said, find those pockets when you have the chance, force that throw, scramble when you need to, catch these guys off guard, even though I'm not sure Josh Allen's legs are really catching defenses off guard much anymore. He's still producing. He's having his most efficient running season yet as a rushing quarterback. And so, be aggressive. Find the holes, take the chances when they're there, but don't force things. That's the thing, and that's hard to say. It's easy to say, don't force it when you want them to play aggressive, but you got to kind of mitigate those mistakes and pick your battles,
And obviously the show's brought to you by Outlet Liquor. What's your outlet? Meerkat, I think that's a good point because Josh Allen, look, the cream of the crop rises. It always does, and it's December football. Josh got back on track, Mac Jones, I've seen a lot of excuses for Mac Jones with a bad route that was ran by Kendrick Bourne. I've seen this a lot. However, I never even care whose fault it is in terms of the interception, because quite frankly, if Stephon Diggs ran the wrong route, okay, he ran the wrong route. Like, I don't need to blame that interception on Stephon Diggs. I don't need to validate anything. And Stephon Diggs definitely ran the wrong route in New Orleans. That was absolutely the wrong play that he had. Same thing with the, I believe, Gabe Davis interception. A, he was held, and B, I think he didn't run the scramble drill properly, but that's fine. There's been a couple of interceptions lately that were 100% not him. But that's really an important note to me because Josh Allen is going to rise to the top. He is one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. He's going to play like it. Eventually, you're going to win games just like Patrick Mahomes does. You're going to be efficient. You're going to be able to get it done. And quite frankly, teams like the Dolphins aren't going to win 100 games in a row. Teams like the Patriots will come back down to earth a little bit. And I think that could happen today for New England, where can Mac Jones, he just tweeted, I tweeted it a couple years ago. He had never seen snow before. Like, how's that an advantage? Because they run the ball.
Lived in the South his whole life, went to Alabama. Good.
Because Damian Harris is a good running back. Okay. All right.
I do have breaking news, Kevin. The inactives are out for the Buffalo Bills.
Okay,
and there's a surprise. I'll say it for the end. We got Vernon Butler, F.A. Obata, Jameel Douglas, Reggie Gilliam, which expected, no surprises. But then Isaiah McKenzie and Stevenson, both inactive.
Interesting. So those are going with a safe punt catcher today. And what, 3?
Rita Kumaro, who Hyde to just feel
like a Hyde on punt return.
Yeah, it's got to be Hyde actually. Now, yeah, just to be
and
safe.
Kick return is Tywan Jones kneeling on it in the end zone. That's my prediction for kick return. They don't think they're going to gain an advantage on special teams, which is interesting. I don't know if that's a game day issue, Meerkat, where they don't think they have enough game day spot. That might be solely wanting to get in Zach Moss. Good for the Bills for trying to be creative with their in game day. That's how healthy they are, Meerkat. I've tried to state this on many shows. They're healthy. They don't know what to do with their game day inactive. Some are just a given because you have 7 injuries. It's a given. The Bills don't know what to do. They don't know how to play special teamers. They don't know if they want to play kick and punt return. They don't know if they want extra running backs, extra receivers, what to do with these inactives, Meerkat. But that's a really interesting note that they would say, you know what, we're not returning the ball today. I would guess it's Tywan Jones because he's done it before. And I think that they feel like they can rely on him to kneel the ball in the end zone and not take it out and slip and fumble like we saw in Isaiah McKenzie the last time we saw some elements. So on punt, I guess it's Hyde. I don't know what they're going to do on punt returns. That's an interesting one. That's something to watch out for. But I'm still interested to see this defensive back rotation. And I don't think it's been talked about enough. Is there things that we do to supplement for Trey White? Is it as simple as playing Dane Jackson? We talked a lot about the Bills offense and the Patriots defense. But we're going to switch the sides of the ball here for a quick minute. Is it going to be as simple as just putting in Dane Jackson, Meerkat?
I guess that's what it's got to be, right? I mean, what else do you really have to go off of right now? When an injury like that hits you, post-trade deadline, all of that, you got to just make it that simple. You got to hope that's what it is. You got to move forward with that. And, yeah, Dane Jackson, get ready to step up to the plate, buddy. I mean, he's flashed at times in his career, especially near the end of last year. Looked good, really good in some spots, but like I said, he's flashed. He's been up and down, a bit of a roller coaster. So coming into tonight, honestly, this type of game might be exactly what he needs to get adjusted into that spot opposite of Levi Wallace right now, where you're hopefully not going to see, any shots really taken downfield and a less aggressive passing attack from Mac Jones and the Patriots. We'll see, but I'd assume they would, which because they haven't been that aggressive all year. Now you got them in the snow for the first time, all this stuff, the wind. So yeah, just don't be the one thing with Dane Jackson. Sometimes he likes to be aggressive, whether it's with his hits, with his tackle attempts, or sometimes playing the ball. And you got to be careful with that tonight because, buddy, the ball's going to be slippery and stuff. Don't go for that jump interception, jumping the route. Just play it safe, cushion it, take them out, play your game, and don't make the big mistake. That's all I want out of Dane Jackson tonight. Don't make the big mistake. Because Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, these guys are guys who are going to catch the ball tonight. They are excel at running the short to intermediate routes, and Mac Jones has been good at delivering it, which has been their offensive game plan. We went over with that with Mark as well. Yeah, just don't make the big mistake. Don't get too aggressive. Don't try to play hero ball now that you're up in the spotlight a little more, getting this run on with the ones, and do your thing. Just be safe out there and show that, hey, I can do this for the rest of the season, guys. It's not all downhill with Trey White out.
And obviously, I think that's the thing to note too, is that do they do anything to do different looks? Like, do they pop Taron Johnson outside? Something that I've heard that could happen a little bit. They also have a guy that they liked that played over both Serena Neal and Dane Jackson at times, and Cam Lewis, a guy that is active tonight. Do you see Cam Lewis at all in certain situations? An able tackler, someone that is able to play in both inside and outside, so you can mix and match based on what you want to do. Someone that you can definitely bring in certain situations. Do they give Dane Jackson 100% of the snaps? I'm leaning no. I'm leaning that he does not fill in at 100% of the snaps. That's my quick and early and quick and dirty prediction, is that I think it could be mixed matched until the Bills figure out really what it is that they like and what's working. Because if something doesn't work, the Bills can't just leave him on Nelson Aguilar all night and have it not work on him.
Oh, yeah. We are going to be mixing up that secondary, but I don't know if we're going to take Taron Johnson outside. I saw those kind of whispers about that too. That's something that scares me. I think you just got to keep him, in that nickel, that slot position, especially against how, Patriots offense, the way that they operate. He's going to be vital tonight. But yeah, this is Cam's time to step up. People want to root for him, going to UV and all of that, getting, taken off from the Bills after a little run last year back with us. So he's a guy you want to root for. He's got NFL ability. It's kind of like Dane Jackson. Can he be consistent and not make the big mistake? We're gonna see. I expect Dane. I'd say Dane probably gets like 65, percent of those snaps opposite Levi minimum. But I wouldn't be surprised seeing Cam in there a decent amount.
And we'll have to see what no AJ Klein, no Reggie Gilliam, obviously the no kick returners. They definitely aren't going to be returning many kicks today, which is interesting. It's still an interesting strategy for a team that loves special teams, that they figured that they'd rather cover and cover kick and punts than return them. So interesting note that some of you are even saying Matt Breida. I don't know what believes you to think that he would be a sure-handed punt catcher. But I can't believe it wouldn't be Micah Hyde or Taiwan Jones. There's no.
Do we even put anyone back there?
I don't think you need to touch the ball on kick returns, but they're going to start pop kicking them. Why wouldn't you? If you just saw this as Bill Belichick, why wouldn't you start pop kicking it to the 5? And this,
still, even with your returner, are you going for that ball with the slick conditions, with the winds? I mean, it's just scary, obviously
punt's easy. You just stick Hyde back there and go like this.
Hyde, wave it on, whatever. But yeah,
kicks.
It's just got to be Taiwan back there. But I don't want somebody out there who's gonna want to try to make a play on the ball. I trust Taiwan Jones. Someone like a Matt Breida or something. I could see them wanting to make the play because they have the speed, they have the explosiveness, and maybe want to get that shine. Not saying they would, put their self-interest above the team.
But you have to return it, though, at the same time.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you kick it to the 5, you need to do. You're not going to kneel it.
Exactly. You got to do something with it, and that's why I don't know. I trust Taiwan Jones back there, but it's just sketchy.
This is a situation you have Taiwan Jones for. You have him as your special teams ace, playing all this, especially missing a couple of names. You have him to be in this role, to be able to be used in certain sure-handed situations. And I'm assuming the Bills would go with Hyde on punts, and then they have some plan on kicks. They have something they feel that worked. Now, refielding a kick, I feel a little more safe outside of Isaiah McKenzie. Hyde's going to fair catch on punts, but on kick returns, I mean, maybe they see something they like out of someone we're not talking about. I don't know. It is interesting to see if they think that someone can be back there on kick returns. It's safer. If you bobble it, you have way more room. It's safer putting it in a running back's hands. They're used to being hit. So a lot to look out for in the special teams. Something I didn't expect to have to talk about much here today. Yeah. But the special teams is definitely going to play a role. It's going to be more than it's 1/3 than it normally is in a dome. It's definitely going to play a role. Who can hit a 40-yard field goal? Maybe it's going to be easy. Maybe it's going to be absolutely miserable. Are you going to have a lot of fourth downs? What offense is going to be able to succeed on 4th and 5? Is that going to be the Patriots running game or the Bills passing game? What's going to succeed on 4th and 5, Meerkat? That's the question that you need to ask if you're not kicking the field goal.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like they will give Tyler Bass the benefit of the doubt for the most part tonight. It's not like they're going to be like, all right, we're going for it from a 40-yard attempt or say. Maybe I think they let him at least have one go at something like that. They've shown confidence in him dating back to early last year, letting him go at it in any situation, given weather or anything like that. So I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, it's weird because if the wind's that bad that you don't want to kick it, you're not going to want to drive the ball downfield. You're not going to want to trust in that, and it feels like the run might be obvious. So this is going to need to be a masterclass from Brian Dable, who has gotten some hate this year after, being heralded as a god after last year. And he's been questioned this year in some situations. This has got to be his masterclass. You knew this weather was a viable option to happen tonight. Now it's happening. I just hope you prepared correctly and are ready to run that game plan, especially with Spencer Brown back, like I brought up. It helps your playbook a lot. Honestly, it does.
And run the ball with your quarterback. This is one of the games that I'll allow it. Like, look, there's way less injury risk in this kind of elements. There's, you don't get your foot stuck in the hot, warm turf. You can bounce off hits better. You can get down and protect yourself. This is one of the games, and maybe a game plan that you can put on tape that is like, fine, if this happens, this is the game plan we're going to run. I expect a lot of different mixing and matching, go with the hot hand and the running backs, and run the ball and run a lot of run pass options, all RPOs, because put the defense on its heels and take your deep shots. I mean, even Joe Webb was able to complete a deep pass to Deontay Harris. What was his name? Deontay Harris. Back in the snow game.
Wasn't it Calvin?
No, it was the one guy, Deontay Thompson. Yep, that's it. Deontay Thompson. That play will happen. So that, and that's even worse element. So Josh Allen's definitely going to be able to complete deep balls. Defensive backs won't have their footing. That's why you need the most sure-handed tacklers that you have, sure-footed players that you have in your defensive backfield. So there could be some mixing and matching here today, specifically to whoever the Bills feel is the best tackler, rather than coverage person. I don't think they're worried about Nelson Aguilar in the win today, but maybe they are. Meerkat, it's time. Keys to the game, score prediction, and we're going to get the people. We got to let the people know what you think.
All right, keys to the game. Be smart. I know how simple that is to say, but I said it's simple. Be smart. Brought it up. Josh Allen, don't force that ball tonight. Be aggressive, but don't force that ball into double, triple teams you should have no right putting it into that you're not sure what's going to the outcome of it's going to be. Escape the pocket, run when you need to, but hold on to that ball and defense. Make Mac Jones uncomfortable. He's already uncomfortable enough with this weather. But you bring a little pass rush after this guy, let him get a little taste of Jerry Hughes coming off the edge, little Star Latula or Ed Oliver laying on top of him. It's going to humble you real quick, especially when the element's already demoralizing. I like the Bills to win tonight. I think this is a close game. I think this can end up being whoever has the ball last type of game. I'm going with the Bills.
20-17. Is that what you have? You got the under then, right? Is it still under 40 and a half?
The under is dropping drastically right now.
What is it at
because
right now?
of the weather? Let me get the updated line real quick.
That's very interesting to know. I was meaning to check earlier to see where
how much it's dropping. Yeah, it's at the Buffalo Creek. It's at 40.5. FanDuel, it's at 39.5.
Ooh, 39.5. It's tempting.
9.5 points.
It's
tempting.
It's tempting to think that either or a team that could hit that potentially on their own, like 35, 31 on their own in certain situations. Now, the line moved back to 3, right? From 2.5. I have it at 3, favoring the Bills. At least what I'm looking at here, -3 for Buffalo here. I'm just having a hard time picturing my head around a rookie-led quarterback in these elements without a running back like Derrick Henry or Jonathan Taylor. It's just not the same thing that people want to make it. The Bills have been very good against every other running back, and maybe even against Henry, if you want to consider without the long touchdown run with holding. The Bills have been really good in these situations. I'm sorry they have been. They've been able to shut down teams that wanted to run the ball. New England's better at it, I guess, even though some statistics don't say that, unlike they do for Indy. They don't say that for New England, Meerkat. So I don't think it's totally fair. The Bills are going to stop the run today. Can they do enough to throw it? Carson Wentz could. Obviously, at times, and in our games, Ryan Tannehill's been able to. Trevor Lawrence didn't in their loss. Ben Roethlisberger really didn't. Can Mac Jones do enough to win the game himself? I don't believe so. I believe that in better elements, we could see a better Mac, and we could see like they did in Dallas and him slinging and throwing pick sixes and long touchdowns and all of this. I think he's going to have a hard game in these elements. He's not, as much as he's maybe thinks he's ready, he's never played in this. And I would say the same thing for a Bills rookie quarterback and rookie Josh Allen. It's not different. In fact, I'm Team Dome for this reason here tonight. But Meerkat, I got 27-17 Buffalo in this game because I just don't see where they have enough offense. I'm sorry, I don't. Special teams can change the game. And like I've said in many games, said it against Indy, that fumble killed him. Isaiah McKenzie hasn't seen the field since. That's how big that fumble was in that game. It was a huge fumble. Yes, you don't know that it's going to go your way anyways, but that is a humongous fumble in that game, Meerkat. Special teams is big. Can Tyler Bass do enough? I think he can. I think he can be the difference. I think the Bills have a special teams plan. I think that they have a defensive plan to guard Mac Jones. And I think, quite frankly, you mentioned it earlier, I think Brian Daboll's got enough to show what he can do. I think 27 points, but some of them coming off of turnover, Meerkat. But that's the fire that Meerkat and I have here today. We've both thought a lot about the game, and that's about what we can bring. So Outlet Liquor, our show sponsor, Picasso's Pizza. Meerkat, any final news or nuggets for the team? Anybody, anything you want to say?
Special teams. I just hope Matthew Hack, not Matt Hack, because that's mean. That sounds mean. I don't know why. Matthew Hack doesn't have a negative 15-yard punt tonight. With this wins, with how he's been this season, just throw everything you got into it, buddy. I believe in you.
How about this? I'll ask you one last question. Are you just never today specifically go for it on fourth down outside of extreme scenarios?
No, I like the aggressiveness on fourth down. Like, I loved what Baltimore did yesterday. For people that didn't know, they had a chance to bring the game to overtime by kicking the extra point. They said, nope, we want the win for it. Didn't get it, but you've got to respect the decision.
So you are
aggressiveness, yes.
Beside really backup situations, you're for.
When you have a kicker like Tyler Bass, it makes you more confident in kicking consistently. He hasn't missed an extra point this year. When you have a guy who's liable to miss a lot, then I'm like, all right, yeah, don't kick it, go for it, be more aggressive. But Bass brings me a little more comfortability. But a night like tonight, go for it on everything less than 4th and 5.
I like it. You hear it from Meerkat. I'm the same way. Anything inside the 30, you punt it. Anything really outside of 35, the 40, going for it pretty much all night, unless you have a pretty good Tyler Bass situation. That's what I like tonight. I like going for it anytime you're at. I'm even standing from the midfield. I'm taking it back to the Bills 40, man. That's about where I'm at. Like, unless it's 4th and 12 or something, I really like 4th and single digits. It's going to be tough for me to not want to go for it. Pro 40 yard on either side. So that's kind of my opinion here tonight. I don't want Hack touching the ball to punt it 30 yards. I'm sorry. It just doesn't do anything. The risk of 30 yards at a fresh set of downs, it's not there for me. So obviously you punt in certain situations, but I don't want to see it much tonight when they're pro 40. Lastly, we forgot to rip the quick Patriots inactives: Ronnie Perkins, Devin Asai, Jarrett Stidham, Yasir Durant, Sean Wade, and Jelani Tavai. Not missing too much there. They're depth players for them. Luckily, we'll hopefully be in better health situation than the Patriots are, with only a couple players on the reserves, Meerkat. But that's all we got for you today here on the Crowd Assist podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in with us for 30 minutes. I'm Kevin Massare. That's Meerkat. Go Bills.
Okay.